Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sane Minds again. I would just like to share my walk-away moment. The story of how I went from somebody who used to try and convince my dad, who's no longer with me now, God rest his soul, to vote for Obama. This is obviously before I could vote, right before I could vote. And, I believed the ideals that he was saying, the change America, that we could be the change that we wanted to see, basically. He hit the talking points with a lot of things. And I know now that was by design, that was, as most politicians are, but more than just him as a singular politician. The system that he was involved in, and I read the news daily. I have for years, for almost 10 years now. It's something I wake up and do. I enjoy doing it, and I've seen how they've changed over the years, like BBC News. That's one of my number one sources, has been, because I used to believe that they are one of the least biased news sources out there. I know now that's not true, obviously. I still use them to reference a lot of things, because as much as what they talk about is important for me to understand what they're doing, it's also important to see what they don't talk about. The things that they try and sweep under the rug. And I've seen a lot of that in the last few years, and that's really what started to change me to a conservative. Just when I realized that the policies that these people wanted to enact, letting everyone in, open borders, more welfare, larger government, things that our founding fathers never intended for. And realizing that these things were not fiscally or even just ethically responsible to do for the people who already live here, the people who they themselves and their ancestors have built this country from what it was to what it is now, the greatest nation on earth. And I truly believe that. That's showed me all I needed to see to know that what they were doing would take us on a path that I didn't want to go. A place that I didn't want to be, and I didn't want anyone I knew to be. And that's really how I ended up changing from what I was to what I am now. Somebody who went along with the program because I didn't look into the things, There were times when I was younger when I just heard the headlines, or I heard what my friends were talking about, or what was on TV, mainstream media, what they were pushing. If you take a test, it's let's say on a computer, you have some type of online course or something like that. The questions they ask you, the things they try and highlight and make you remember, and one of the things was BBC News. One of the least biased news networks in the world, or the least, or something like that. It's not true at all. From the way that they refer to every illegal immigrant or refugee or whatever you want to call them to a migrant. They try and mitigate the negative aspects to what is going on. They spin it in a way to where they want to make it, if you don't believe what they believe, you don't have a heart. What type of person wouldn't want to help these kids? You know what? I do want to help people, but I want to help them in their own country. I want them to help themselves. Does it make me happy to see kids, screaming and crying and hurting, or, even that kid that drowned, right? They made a huge story about that. But who's the one who put that kid in that situation? It was the parents. They already crossed into Turkey, which is a safe country in terms of it's not at war with itself, at least. The internal borders of Turkey are secure, and they made that crossing anyway. And when they trying to blame all of that on Europe or America or whoever, the Western world, I was definitely a conservative before that, but these are things that just cemented my position. And the more I looked into something, the more that I actually took time to dig up things myself, the more I found the conservative way to be the truth in a lot of things. You know, they're working for the people who are here already. They're not trying to get some new voters. They want to make sure that the people who are here are doing well. And I don't mean, you know, every Republican, because obviously there's people who are within the system that are just for the system, and they're not working for any of their own constituents or anything like that. They are for the big companies and corporations and government minders and people that put money in their pockets. And Trump was different, you know, because I could tell you right now, when Trump first said he was going to run for office, I wasn't sure about him. Even though I held conservative views, I didn't view Trump as that type of conservative person just because of what was portrayed about him. You know, he was an extremely wealthy celebrity, reality TV star, all these types of things. You know, businessman, you know, that part. I saw him as one of them. But once I heard him speak, heard what he said and what he actually meant, and then especially now since he is elected, and yes, I did vote for him, but especially now that he is elected, I see that he's telling the truth. And even if you don't agree with what Trump is telling you, at least you know that what he is telling you is true. And he's not trying to sweet talk you into believing something that's a lie. Because to be honest, I'd rather be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie. But that's basically how I came to be where I am, is looking at things over time and the way that they tried to hide things, you know, because I would hear something from, let's say, a smaller person on YouTube or something like that, conservative. I would look into that, make sure that it was true, and then I would look over to things like CNN, BBC News, nothing, not even a mention, not even in the back pages of something, and it'd be something huge too. So these are just some of the instances that made me walk away from supporting Democrats, trying to get my family to support Democrats. And I'm glad I did. But alright, everyone, if you would like to, you know, share your walkaway moment as well in the comments, that'd be great. I'd love to read through it, you know, and maybe even discuss it back and forth, because I believe that this is a huge movement that has been taking off and will continue to do so, and I really hope that it does. But if you guys would like some new content and more content, please like and subscribe. It helps a channel like mine, a small channel, and I would like to be able to produce the quality and the amount of videos that personally I would like to. Obviously, work and other things get in the way of that. But I am gonna keep bringing the truth to everybody, because I want to find a way for all of us to stay sane in an insane world. Thank you guys, and as always, I appreciate it.